Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jai Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Partha Sarti Radha Partha Sarti Radhe. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 8, entitled as The Character of Bharat Maharaj, text number 29. 29. Yeah, 29. So this is the form of prose. So I've been asked directly to read the word-to-word meaning. Aho kaṣṭaṁ. Alas, what a miserable condition of life. Bhraṣṭah, fallen. Aham, I am. Ātma-vatām, of great devotees who have achieved perfection. anupathād, from the way of life, yat, from which, vimukta-samasta-saṅgasya, although having given up the association of my real sons and home, vivikta, solitary, puṇya-araṇya, of a sacred forest, yasరణasya, who had taken shelter, ātma-vatah, of one who had become perfectly situated on the transcendental platform, ātmani, in the supersoul, sarveṣām, of all, ātmanāṁ, the living entities, bhagavati, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, vāsudeve, Lord Vāsudeve, tat, of him, anushravana, constantly hearing, manana, thinking, sankirtana, chanting, ārādhana, worshipping, anusmarana, constantly remembering, abhiyogena, by absorption in, asunya, filled, sakala-yāmena, in which all the hours, kālena, by time, samaveshitam, fully established, samahitam, fixed, kartasyena, totally, manaha, the mind in such a situation, that mind, tu, but, punaha, again, mama, of me, abhudasya, a great fool, ārāt, from a great distance, mṛga-sutam, the son of a deer, anu, being affected by, parishuśrava, fell down. Translation. In the body of a deer, Bharat Maharaj began to lament, what misfortune! I have fallen from the path of self-realization. I gave up my real sons, wife and home to advance in spiritual life, and I took shelter in a solitary holy place in the forest. I became self-controlled and self-realized, and I engaged constantly in devotional service, hearing, thinking, chanting, worshipping, and remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vāsudeve. I was successful in my attempt, so much so that my mind was absorbed in devotional service. However, due to my personal foolishness, my mind again became attached, this time to a deer. Now, I have obtained the body of a deer and have fallen far from my devotional practices. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Due to his stringent execution of devotional service, Maharaj Bharat could remember the activities of his past life and how he was raised to the spiritual platform. Due to his foolishness, he became attached to an insignificant deer and thus fell down and had to accept the body of a deer. This is significant for every devotee. If we misuse our position and think that we are fully engaged in devotional service and can do whatever we like, we have to suffer like Bharat Maharaj and be condemned to accept the type of body that impairs our devotional service. Only the human form is able to execute devotional service. But if we voluntarily give this up for sense gratification, we certainly have to be punished. This punishment is not exactly like that endured by an ordinary materialistic person. By the grace of the Supreme Lord, a devotee is punished in such a way that his eagerness to attain the lotus feet of Lord Vasudeve is increased. By his intense desire, he returns home in the next lifetime. Devotional service is very completely described here. The constant hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. Sattam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrataha. Those who have taken into Krishna consciousness should be very careful that not a single moment is wasted and that not a single moment is spent without chanting and remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his activities. By his own actions and by the actions of his devotees, Krishna teaches us how to become cautious in devotional service. Through the medium of Bharat Maharaj, Krishna teaches us that we must be careful in discharge of devotional service. If we want to keep our minds completely fixed without deviation, we must engage them in devotional service full time. As far as the members of International Society for Krishna Consciousness are concerned, they have sacrificed everything to push on this Krishna consciousness movement. Yet, they must take a lesson from the life of Bharat Maharaj to be very cautious and to see that not a single moment is wasted in frivolous talk, sleep, or voracious eating. Eating is not prohibited, but if we eat voraciously, we shall certainly sleep more than required. Sense gratification ensues, and we may be degraded to a lower life form. In that way, our spiritual progress may be checked, at least for the time being. The best course is to take advice from Srila Rupa Goswami, Avyartha Kalatvam. We should see that every moment of our life is utilized for rendering devotional service and nothing else. This is a secure position for one wanting to return home back to Godhead. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Shute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. हर बार ऋषि कुमार प्रभु मुझे इंट्रोड्यूस करते हैं, मुझे काफ़ी एम्बैरस कर देते हैं, पता नहीं क्या क्या बोल देते तो क्या स्पीक इन हिंदी? ये okay. So we are in this section of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is one of the very intense sections of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, where we are talking about a devotee who has almost reached the stage of perfection, and then he falls down. Now, that's something that is very difficult for a sadhaka like us to handle, because when we look at Bharat Maharaj's situation, he is almost there. One step is inside Vaikuntha and one step is outside, and then he falls down. Our both legs are at the material world, so we think if something is, something can go wrong with somebody like that, and what about us? What's the hope? So Srila Prabhupada, in this purport, he does give us some hope, but he also gives us a lot of warning. If you notice, the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is filled with stories of people, of devotees who are losers. Dhruva Maharaj is a loser, Bharat Maharaj here is a loser. I mean, if you study Vasudeva and Devaki, in one sense, they are losers. So many stories. Prahlad Maharaj is a loser. Narad Muni, so many things he lost. He's a loser again. So if you study the Bhagavatam, it's filled with stories of people who are losers. To win in bhakti, you have to first be a loser in the material world. If you are, if you have everything possible and you have never lost, there's a good chance that you may lose in the process of bhakti itself. So Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is filled with people who are losers to some extent or the other. Why? Because Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is a case study for all of us. Bhagavad Gita is a law book. It has sections, rules. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is case study. How to apply those rules in our life. And the case studies cannot be of exceptionally good cases. They have to be of cases where there is struggle. Just like all of us, we have our own struggles. So the Bhagavatam picks up those stories. Shukadeva Goswami in the Bhagavatam picks up those stories of those devotees who have had extreme struggles in different directions. You look at Chitraketu Maharaj's story. What kind of struggle he has had to get one son. He married 1 crore times. He's the only crorepati in the world. Actually, he had 1 crore wives. So, after so much struggle, Chitraketu Maharaj comes to a conclusion. So, Bhagavatam goes to such extreme cases to help us understand that for people like us, there is hope. So, a lot of devotees, when they study the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and they absorb so many aspects of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the question that always comes is, why don't we retain the essence of the Bhagavatam? Why does the Bhagavatam, we hear classes every single day, but somehow we don't retain it. It just kind of evaporates. There was a man who came to a satsang, to a guru, a very powerful guru, and he asked him a question. He said, why don't I benefit from satsang? Why don't I really benefit from satsang? So the guru said, I will explain to you, but first you get me a bottle of whiskey. Now this man was bewildered, the disciple was bewildered. Guru asking for whiskey over here, So anyway, guru can ask for anything, so he went and got 1 bottle of whiskey, and he kept it in front of the guru. The guru said, now drink. Now you are more bewildered. So he said, and the guru said, before you drink, there is a condition. The condition is that not even 1 drop of whiskey should go inside your throat. Now drink. Now this guy was bewildered. He thought for a little while. He drank and he spit it out. He drank, again he spit it out. Whole bottle got over. And the guru asked him, are you drunk? The disciple said, not even 1 drop has gone inside my throat. How will I be drunk? The guru said, that's exactly what is happening to you when you hear the scriptures. You apparently take in, but nothing goes to your heart. It doesn't go deep into your heart. These experiences that we're talking about in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bharat Maharaj, his experience. Now, when they practice devotional service, their experience is not superficial like all of us. Our experience is very theoretical in the way we understand bhakti and the intensity of bhakti. Their experience is real. Imagine what Bharat Maharaj has given up to be able to practice bhakti. He has actually given up a massive kingdom. Renunciation is great when you renounce something substantial. Imagine a person goes to Reserve Bank of India and stands in front of the Reserve Bank and he says, I give up the Reserve Bank of India. Yeah. Where do you own it? First of all, to give it up. If you own it, then you can say you give it up. So, for all of us, whatever level of renunciation we are, we don't have much to actually say we renounced. First of all, we didn't have anything. And then when we say we renounced, it hardly means anything, basically. But for Bharat Maharaj to say that he actually renounced, he has so much to give up. Therefore, the concept of bhakti, the concept of satsang, so if we drink satsang from top, it doesn't really enter. And it doesn't transform our behavior. So, the satsang has to be drunk in such a way, it enters through our ears and goes to the heart. And that's when really satsang takes shape. So, mangoes are very tasty. Now it's approaching mango season. So, it's apt to give an example of mangoes. So, mangoes are very tasty. If you reach a mango orchard during a non-season, during a non-mango season, then you will be disappointed. I mean, somebody can go to a mango orchard during a non-mango season and say, we have heard so much about mangoes, but we didn't find any mangoes. Now, satsang is like a mango orchard. It flowers and fruits only in the season of faith. When you approach satsang in the right season, then you will find fruits coming. Then you find transformation happening in your heart. Now, if we go to satsang without the right kind of faith and only externally, then mangoes don't yield. Mango is the form of gyan, is in the form of knowledge. Now, if you faithfully attend satsang, then you gain knowledge. But the ultimate aim is not to get knowledge only. The ultimate aim of attending satsang is not only to gain knowledge. Although the mango seems green and appears very delicious, but it still has no juice and no sweetness. Sweetness comes only when the mango becomes ripe. So knowledge becomes juicy and sweet only when you actually develop love for God. So till you develop love for God internally, the knowledge is very like an unripe mango, sour. Now, there is something known as bhakti ras and there is something known as vishaya ras. How much ever vishaya ras you may attain, it never satisfies you. Vishaya means things. So how much ever taste for material things you attain, it never satisfies you. But the experience of Brahman ras immediately satisfies you. So now, the explanation that is given is, Brahman ras is lesser than Bhakti ras. Bhakti ras is much higher than Brahman ras. So devotees, they say that Vishaya ras is dissatisfaction. It causes dissatisfaction. And Brahman ras causes long-term satisfaction. But what does Bhakti ras do? So Vishaya ras causes satisfaction. Brahman ras causes long-term satisfaction. But Bhakti ras, it does both the things. It has a dual effect. So what Bhakti ras does is, on one hand, it causes satisfaction. On other hand, it causes dissatisfaction. Simultaneously. So, this is the unique nature of Bhakti ras. Like for example, if somebody gives you water to drink, and you drink some water. So if somebody gives you water and you drink some water and immediately your thirst is quenched. You feel satisfied. You don't want any more. But for a fish, will one glass of water satisfy the fish? No. For the fish, it needs unlimited water. If it is staying inside the water, all over water is there. the fish needs a lot of water to live. It lives only in water. So similarly, the idea of bhakti ras is a little bhakti ras will not satisfy you. You have to be immersed in bhakti ras. And it has to be all around you. Like for example, in the Ramayana, when Ram met Shabari, and Shabari fed some fruits to Lord Ram. Now, Ram was experiencing both satisfaction and dissatisfaction at the same time. Jai. So, when Shabari was feeding Ram fruits, he was experiencing satisfaction and dissatisfaction at the same time. So, he was experiencing satisfaction that there is so much love in these fruits. But at the same time, he was experiencing dissatisfaction that how much ever he eats fruits is not enough only. It seems that he has not eaten only for so many years. And suddenly he is eating so much. So now that's what Bhakti Ras does to a person. It satisfies you, at the same time keeps you unsatisfied. In fact, Chanakya Pandit, he speaks about how a devotee should never be satisfied with a few things in life. One should never be satisfied with one's chanting. One should never be satisfied with one's studying scriptures, Swadhyay. One should never be satisfied with one's austerities. Now, unfortunately, for all of us who are in the initial stages of our devotion, we become very satisfied with these things easily. Very satisfied, bahut chanting kar liya, hang our bead bag, finished, chanting is over. We are very satisfied with our austerities, whatever little we do. And we are very satisfied with our studying. Bas ho gaya, Bhāgavatam, khatam. But these are three things we never be satisfied with. And Chanakya Pandit says there are four things. There are four things one should always be satisfied with. He says one should be always satisfied with wealth. How much, money or wealth one has. One should always be satisfied with one's diet. What food one gets. And one should always be satisfied with one's partner. The grahasthas, husband or wife. Be satisfied with one another. The interesting thing here is that in the material world, nobody is satisfied with these three things. No one is satisfied with the amount of money they have. No one is satisfied with one's diet. In Iskcon, you make the best prasad in the world. There will be someone who has complaints, And in the material world, nobody is satisfied with one's partner. Every husband is looking at somebody else's wife, Every wife is looking at somebody else's husband. It's like crazy amount of dissatisfaction in the material world, right? So the whole idea is that in the process of bhakti, one has to be simultaneously satisfied and dissatisfied. Satisfied that I am engaging in the process of Krishna consciousness, and that is like a fish being in water. There is some satisfaction. But there is dissatisfaction in the amount of water. No matter how much water the fish has, it is still not satisfied. It needs more water. You put the fish in water for 1 hour, you remove the fish out, it still be dissatisfied with that water. And that is the way one has to practice our bhakti. As I said, that losing is an important word in bhakti. Losers get Krishna faster. We are speaking about different devotees who are losers from a material point of view. Like for example, Vasudeva and Devaki. Imagine their situation. They are on the most important phase of their life. Just got married. And suddenly, there's one Akashvani that declares that, their 8th child is going to be the cause of Kamsa's death. Sudden transformation in Kamsa. And Kamsa really goes to kill Devaki, literally. Imagine what a loss it is on the eve of marriage. Now, interestingly, a lot of these discussions happen on chariots. Bhagavad Gita is spoken on a chariot, And Vasudeva and Devaki over here are on a chariot. And Vasudeva is speaking to Kamsa on a chariot. And interestingly, Vasudeva speaks the same Bhagavad Gita to Kamsa that Krishna speaks later, So you might wonder, where did Krishna get all that knowledge from? From his father. So Vasudeva, if you notice the words, the verses that Vasudeva is speaking to Kamsa, it's exact same knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So now you might wonder, why are these discussions happening on a chariot only? In the Ramayana, there is a very interesting discussion that happens between Vibhishan and Lord Ram. So when Ram is going to fight with Ravan, and the fight is just about to take place, Vibhishan has a doubt. And he asks Ram this doubt. So Ram is on the ground. He doesn't have an armor. He doesn't have great weapons as such. He doesn't have a chariot at all. He doesn't even have slippers. Bharat has taken his slippers also, So practically Ram is like weaponless, and he's like, having hardly any support. No chariot driver, nothing, So Vibhishan looks at Ravan, and he is fully armed and fully, protected, having all kinds of missiles and powerful golden chariot and a great driver, everything perfect. So Vibhishan asks Ram, how can you fight against Ravan with no chariot of your own? Ram tells Vibhishan, I have a chariot. And this chariot of mine is called as Dharma-ratha. I am mounted on the chariot of Dharma. And he said, I am carrying the weapon of knowledge. And he said, I am protected by the armor of Satgun, good qualities. And he says, my driver, I have a driver also. My driver is sadhana, the process of bhakti, the process of devotional service. So he said, when somebody is mounted on Dharma-ratha, only such a person can fight against Durjan or Anarthas. To fight against Anarthas, you cannot be standing on the ground. You need to be mounted on Dharma-ratha. And then, so there's this whole discussion about how the most important element in the chariot is a driver. Therefore, Krishna chose to be driver of Arjuna. Because the Dharma-ratha needs a good driver. If your sadhana is not strong, your Dharma-ratha is not going to go anywhere. It's going to topple over. It's going to be helpless. And therefore, Krishna specifically chose to play the role of a driver in Arjuna's life. Why? So that he can direct his Dharma-ratha. The problem with Vasudeva and Devaki being on that chariot was that their driver was Kamsa. Imagine, if a Dharma-ratha is being driven by Kamsa, where is it going to go? Now, why do you think that Akashvani happened at that point? Krishna wanted to make a point, tell all of us, that if Kamsa is going to be the Dharma-ratha of my parents' chariot, what am I going to give example to others? Akashvani happened. And as soon as Akashvani happened, Kamsa got off the rath. He actually got off. He walked away. And somebody else drove the chariot. So there are very subtle things that connect all our scriptures together. And these subtle things actually give us a lot to think about. So, as I said, that Vasudeva, he spoke the most powerful philosophy at the time of his greatest loss. Arjun was standing on that Bhagavad Gita, on the battlefield, and he was experiencing, according to him, the greatest loss, the greatest confusion. And at that time, knowledge was given. That Chitraketu Maharaj, when he lost his son, Harshashoka, when he lost his son, that was the time Narad Muni spoke the knowledge of transformation to him. Now, if imagine Narad Muni had spoken what he spoke much before the loss, nothing would have entered him. Nothing would have really transformed him. Nothing would have penetrated into his heart. At this point here, Bharat Maharaj is going through a great loss. I mean, imagine he has lost his chance of going back to the spiritual world, and he suddenly has come back to the body of a deer. How many lakh species behind it is God knows, So he has come back quite a lot. But in this loss, there is a realization. In this loss, there is a great amount of intensity with which he is practicing his bhakti. The difference between losers in the material world and devotees who are losers is that devotees who are losers don't allow loss to disturb them. So usually, when there is loss, your ego is hurt. Ego is very hurt. When there is gain, your ego is bloated. And when there is loss, the ego is hurt. So now the interesting thing is, the Lord, He does a very unique thing. He reduces the inferiority of small people as well as the superiority of great people. So both kind of people have the same problem. Inferiority is also a problem. Superiority is also a problem. Inferiority complex is also connected to the ego. And superiority complex is also connected to the ego. So what Krishna does is, He understands both these are problems of the ego. And both of it, He helps us handle. So somebody who has superiority complex, Krishna is taking a pin, roaming around, Big balloon. One pin you take, tuck, blast, balloon, So when somebody has superiority complex, Krishna kind of, deflates that balloon. And somebody who has inferiority complex, Krishna helps them deal with that also. And therefore, the interesting thing about the ego is, imagine there is a 2,000 square feet house where you are living in 200 square feet. And the remaining 1,800 square feet, the ego is living. That is how our life is. So we are only occupying a small part of the house, but the bigger part of the house is occupied by the false ego. And therefore, bhakti is to serve Guru's feet, leaving behind our pride, leaving behind our ego. A proud person is like a vessel so full of himself that even if somebody is giving him nectar, he doesn't have space to handle it. He doesn't have space to absorb it. And therefore, to assimilate the teachings of the spiritual master, the Guru, one has to clear out some space. One has to make some space. The ego occupies so much space that there is no place for the Guru to fill in information, fill in knowledge, fill in something deeper. And therefore, if you study the scriptures elaborately talk about how important a disciple needs to keep aside his ego when taking shelter of the spiritual master. When in the Ramayana, when Lord Ram goes to pick up that bow in Sita Swayamvar, when he's picking up the bow, he just picks it up and it breaks. Now, the question is, how did he manage to pick up such a heavy bow? Ram exhibits his humility in picking up that bow. So, while he's going towards the bow, he asks, his guru, Vishwamitra Muni, can I go and see the bow? Vishwamitra Muni tells him, go and see the bow. He goes to the bow and he circumambulates the bow, 3 times. Then he tells Vishwamitra Muni, can I touch the bow? Vishwamitra Muni tells him, touch the bow. Then he touches the bow. Then he asks Vishwamitra Muni, can I pick up the bow? Vishwamitra Muni tells him, pick up the bow. And then zoop, he just picks it up, instantly. So the question is that Ram, he's trying to help us understand that at every stage, he is asking his Guru's permission. At every stage, he's asking his Guru's permission. And from his understanding, the bow becomes light due to Guru Kripa. Now, and when the bow breaks, Ram is not saying, I broke it. It broke on its own, basically. So essentially, when there is Guru's mercy, when one is so much focused on Guru's mercy, where is the question of me breaking the bow? Where is the question of me doing anything big? So a lot of us, we give priority to the false ego so intensely that we take credit for whatever we have done. Whether it is, preaching, whether it is building anything, whether it is any kind of projects, we take credit for it because somehow we feel that it's me who has done it. And that's the false ego that is speaking to us. When we have really taken shelter of the Guru, we understand that it's Guru's kripa that makes heavy things light. So the Guru is heavy. The word Guru means heavy. But in our life, when a Guru's kripa comes, the heaviest of things becomes light with Guru kripa. So now, the question is that when we are living in an atmosphere like this, when we are trying our best to practice our spiritual lives, it becomes very difficult to focus unless we realize that the interaction of the guru and the disciple is one of the most powerful interactions that can help us deal with our false ego, both the superiority complex and the inferiority complex, both the feeling of being losers and the feeling of being winners. When we realize how important it is, that much we try to prioritize the spiritual master's words, instructions, and presence. Unfortunately, not everyone can and does understand the power of the Guru's instructions. There are 4 types of disciples who deal with the spiritual master or rather interact with the spiritual master. The first type of disciple is like petrol. Now, if you take a spark of flame, just one small spark, and it touches petrol, what happens? Zoop, it just blasts. The first type of disciple is like petrol. The spiritual master gives one instruction, and that person is burning, lifelong burning to fulfill that one instruction of the spiritual master. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur met Prabhupada in the first meeting, one instruction, like one small spark falling on Prabhupada. But the thing was, Prabhupada was already petrol. You can't make somebody petrol suddenly. Either you are petrol or not petrol. Prabhupada was petrol, and therefore he was burning with that one instruction all his life. Now for all of us, spiritual master gives us so many instructions, we don't even remember half of them. Where's the question of burning also, So the second type of disciple is like camphor, kapoor. For a camphor to burn, it needs proximity with flame for a few minutes, or few seconds at least. If the flame is in touch with camphor for a few seconds, it burns. This is the second type of disciple. They need some proximity with the spiritual master, they need some connection with the spiritual master, and then they burn. The first disciple, petrol, they don't need too much connection. They need one spark. Bas. One spark and they're burning. The second type of disciple, they need little fire. Then they burn. Little association with spiritual master. The third type of disciple is what a lot of us will relate with. It's like charcoal. Charcoal is black outside, black inside. Doesn't burn easily at all, You have, if you put heavy flame next to charcoal also, it doesn't burn. It takes its own time, So somebody has to fan it, blow air into it, So spiritual master has to fan that person's ego, He has to tell a lot of jokes, crack a lot of humor, somehow inspire the person, and then finally the person is burning, after a lot of endeavor by the spiritual master. A lot of us, we fall in that category, because the false ego is so intense that the spiritual master has to work overtime on us. One spark, nothing happens. Little proximity with flame, nothing happens. The spiritual master has to really endeavor to inspire this guy to do something in life. And then finally, after so much effort, so much pushing, so much of fanning of the ego, then this fellow says, okay, finally I'll burn. He does like a big favor to the spiritual master, by burning. The fourth type of disciple is like a banana plant. If you've seen the banana... You take the banana plant and throw it into fire. Burning fire. Nothing happens to the banana plant. Whoosh, whoosh, sounds will come, Because there is so much water content inside it, So this is the fourth type of disciple. Spiritual master is like fire. You throw this guy into the fire, nothing happens to him. He refuses to burn, basically. So now we have to decide which of the four we are. Obviously, being the first is almost impossible. Very, 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 very rare souls are the first type of disciples. Camphor, maybe some are. But most fall in the category of coal or, the banana tree. At least we should raise from where we are, to go higher a little bit. When the spiritual master allows his disciples to actually, spiritual master's instructions are so powerful, and spiritual master's wisdom is so powerful that can actually help us deal with all our contaminations. But we should also be prepared for it. If we are not prepared for it as disciples, then no matter how powerful the spiritual master is, how much the spiritual master is wanting to give, we won't experience those transformations. One time in Vrindavan, Lord Krishna was playing with his friends. And when his friends were playing, they play different games. One day they decided to play a hide and seek. And Krishna decided to hide. And he told his friend, you find me. Now imagine if Krishna hides, who can find him, So Krishna went and hid. And in less than 2 minutes, the friends found Krishna. And Krishna was bewildered. Krishna is asking them, the yogis in the Himalayas are trying to find me for thousands of years. And they can't find me. How did you all find me in less than 2 minutes? These friends of Krishna, the Gopas of Vrindavan, gave a very interesting answer. They said, we saw on top, there are no clouds. But we saw that the peacocks are shouting so intensely. And we saw the direction in which the peacocks were seeing. And they saw your body, which is Ghanasham, Sham Sundar. And they mistook your body to be clouds and they're shouting. And when we looked in the direction of the peacocks, we found you. The Acharyas give an amazing commentary, amazing understanding of this. The Acharyas explain, if you want to find Krishna, you can find Krishna in the voice of his devotees. You look for Krishna here and there, you can't find him. But you look in the voice of his devotees, there Krishna is hidden somewhere. That's the power of the spiritual master. That's the power of these great devotees. They have so much Krishna in them. In their voice, you can actually experience Krishna. One time, I was in South India in a place known as Sringeri. And I had one of the most powerful experiences there because I had a very interesting realization. In the most unlikely situation, I was walking there and I saw an elephant being fed so this elephant belonged to the temple. And there was this guy who was caretaker of the elephant. He was feeding the elephant. I don't know if any of you have seen elephants being fed. You must see. It's a different experience. This guy was taking such a big ball of rice, such a big ball, in his hand like this. And he went to the elephant, and the elephant opened his mouth, This guy stuffed the ball straight into the mouth of the elephant. This big ball of rice. The elephant just bit into it, soup, gone in. Second ball, third ball, 16 balls he fed like that. 16, 1 6, one after another, And this elephant could have eaten another 100 also, probably, And then the elephant felt thirsty. If an elephant feels thirsty, what do you feel? You can't give a glass to the elephant, You know what this guy did? He took a pipe, put it in the mouth of the elephant, went out. 15 minutes. 15 minutes, this fellow is missing. And the pipe is inside the mouth of the elephant. Imagine, So when I was standing there, observing this elephant eat and drink, my realization, I thought at that point was, the spiritual master is like this elephant. His capacity to digest Krishna Katha is unlimited. The spiritual master can just devour unlimited amount of Krishna Katha. And the interesting thing that I saw over there was something even more interesting than the elephant eating. Because the elephant was biting. From the sides of his mouth, some of the grains were falling off, Obviously, the elephant didn't have hands to hold it, right? So the elephant bites, something falls off. And from what falls off from the side of his mouth, millions of ants below were surviving. Literally, hundreds of ants below eating that little bit. So the spiritual master is like the elephant, handles unlimited amount of Krishna Katha, he can devour unlimited amount of Krishna Katha, and a little falls out from his mouth. And the little that falls out from his mouth, millions of ants like us can survive, So the idea of how the spiritual master, when he speaks a little Krishna Katha, the spiritual master's role when he's speaking that Krishna Katha is to destroy our illusion. To destroy the illusion that we are having. The illusion of the connection with the false ego, the intense connection of how much we prioritize the false ego. The more we allow the spiritual master's words to destroy our illusion, that much more we can actually experience Krishna. we can experience Krishna in very powerful ways. Obviously, the spiritual master tends to be heavy. The reason the spiritual master tends to be heavy is because only in that heaviness can attachments get destroyed. Our attachments are very deep-seated. And these attachments are not easy to give up. And they need a certain amount of heaviness to be able to give up these attachments, to help us give up these attachments. When Hanumanji entered Lanka, he was stopped by Lankini right at the entrance. And Hanumanji was in the shape of a small monkey, almost like a shape of a cat. And Hanumanji is telling Lankini, I am a monkey. And I have heard that in Lanka there are very good fruits, very good mangoes. I want to just go and eat. I will eat a little bit and I'll go. Lankini is telling him, there is absolutely no way you can go in. Because unless you have permission of Ravan, you can't enter Lanka. Not even a mosquito can enter Lanka without Ravan's permission. Lankini is the original immigration officer. So Hanumanji said, see, he said, I'm a monkey. When a monkey decides something, it will do. If you give permission, I will go nicely and come out. If you don't give permission, I will anyway go. So Lankini, she got really upset and she pushed Hanumanji. Imagine pushing Hanumanji. Hanumanji got really wild. He jumped up and gave one punch to Lankini. And she collapsed on the ground. Then one moment later she gets up. And she tells Hanumanji, welcome to Lanka. And she tells him a story. She tells him that Lord Brahma had told me, given me a boon long back, that the day a monkey comes and punches you, that day Lanka is gone. Lanka is destroyed. Now Lankini knew this from before. How she didn't remember? So sometimes knowledge has to be brought out by force. Knowledge there inside only. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhaka Bhanaya, Shravanadi Suddhi Siddha. Everybody knows knowledge is inside. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema is inside everybody. But to bring it out, it needs some impact. We give Journey of Self-Discovery courses and we do Bhagavad Gita 2 years, 3 years. After that, somehow one fellow says, Chalo, I'll chant. Imagine Hanumanji's power. One punch, full Veda base downloaded into Lankini. Hanumanji didn't need to really, do whole Gita classes and, big sessions and all. Kuch nahi. Sida, one punch, over. All knowledge transformed, That's the power of a spiritual master, The spiritual master, he hits at our belief systems. That's the most important role of the spiritual master. He hits at our belief systems. Lankini believed that her master was Ravan. Loyalty to master is important. All of us have Guru Nishtha or loyalty to our master. But the problem with Lankini is that, and people like Lankini is that, they don't know who's their master. When in the Mahabharata, Shalya is coming towards the Kurukshetra to join sides. On the way, Duryodhana arranges like a massive feast for Shalya. And he is eating like anything, well taken care of. And after all that, Shalya, he kind of takes just this, wow, whoever has taken care of me nicely for these 2 days, I am sold out to that person. Then Duryodhana comes out and says, I was the one. And Shalya says, I am sold out to you. The question that the Acharyas ask is that, this guy fed you for 2 days, and you have given your loyalty to him. Krishna is feeding you all your life. What about your loyalty to God? So Lankini, her loyalty was to Ravan was because Ravan is feeding her. But Hanumanji's question, the question that he is asking Lankini, which is challenging the belief system is, if you are loyal to somebody who has fed you for one life, what about the person that has given you life? What about your loyalty to that person? That's what the spiritual master's role is. The spiritual master role, first he hits at your belief system. The spiritual master helps revive knowledge that is lost. As I said, Lankini always knew about the Brahma's boon, but with Hanumanji's presence, lavamatra sadhu sangha we say, right? One moment of association of sadhu can transform. And this is a perfect example of it. Not even one moment, one punch, transformation, And suddenly the knowledge was revealed to Lankini. And the most important thing of sadhu sangha, which I will end today's session with, is Lankini fell down. And as soon as she fell down, she got up. Sadhu sangha helps you rise from a fall. Most people in this world, when they punch you, you are down. The material world, when it punches you, you are down for good. But the interesting thing of sadhu's punch is that when a sadhu punches you, you may fall, but you also get up. You get the strength to get up also. You get the strength to rise from a fall. So therefore, it is very important for us to, when we're dealing with stories like Bharat Maharaj, and we're seeing devotees as losers, when we're seeing the devotees have gone through so much of a fall, we also need to understand that the remedy for such falls is the spiritual master association. And in that association of the spiritual master, we can rise from all the falls that we go through in a material world. Hare Krishna. Yes, bro. You need to give comments, not questions.
I found it both enlivening, entertaining, and informative, and of course inspiring. Thank you very much. My question is, you mentioned about how Krishna has a way to deflate the false ego with a pinprick. The balloon's inflated, which is inflated gets deflated. But at the same time, you mentioned that Krishna brings up the false ego of those who have got inferiority complex also. So could you just shed some more light on that?
The South Indian Brahmin in Srirangam, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he visited the South Indian Brahmin, he was like, he was completely in a very, very inferiority complex type of situation where he was surrounded by people who are making fun of him, who are making, and he considered himself to be insignificant. And he considered himself to be no one. He considered himself to be unqualified. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained, you have understood the essence of the Gita. And with that explanation, he actually boosted the South Indian Brahmins, mood. The story of Duki, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained to her, she is like somewhere in one corner, she's not even interested in being in the forefront, in the limelight. But Mahaprabhu brought her in the front. So as much as superiority can increase your false ego, inferiority that I am nothing can also increase your false ego. That's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had one brahmachari disciple who was he would not wear any cloth on top, even in the peak of winter. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he would sleep outside, in the peak of winter in Mayapur. Bhaktisiddhanta made him come inside, sleep with a full chadar and full cloth on him. And there were some brahmacharis who were inside. He made them sleep outside. So that's the role of the... Make sense?
Immensely. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Any other question or comment? If there is anything I've spoken which is beyond my realizations, please forgive me. If there's something I've spoken which has helped you all, please bless me so that I can practice what I spoke. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
All